Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode for the Green Pill Podcast. As you can see, I'm alone today because we are at the convention, and my co-host Kat cannot be here right now. But I want to tell you guys about how good it is to go to a convention. Right now, when this thing is going out, I am in the convention. In fact, I have a panel that I'm doing about, well, is Doctor Who too woke? It's not. That's what we're going to talk about. It has been doing these things since the 1970s, 1960s. I mean, Zoe is smart. Hey, no, she's not the helpless companion and all these things. And the IMC, Interplanetary Mining Corporation, which is a poke at the military industrial complex. I mean, of course, to who has been on the vanguard, and that's where I am. Is the Doctor Who convention. It has been interesting. Uh, Doctor Who to me has been a show that has united my desire to be inclusive and understand that people can be different and still you can love them. You can think that they're great. And that I think is what Doctor Who brings to the table. But don't get me wrong, I love my Star Trek. Oh my goodness, Picard. Dude, do I not talk about my Picard Pate all the time? I mean, come on. I will say, engage with the with the podcast because, of course, I love Picard. I love Star Trek. I love Grand Marshal Falcon. Yes, he's a terrible, terrible person. He blew up Alderaan, but he's the only man that can mouth off to Lord Vader and he obeys. Enough, Lord Vader. That's the beauty of these shows and other shows. I mean, we've got an election coming up in the West Wing. I love the West Wing and all these other interests that I have. I mean, I've talked about some of them, Toastmasters. I run a science book club. I run a writing group. I want to finish that novel at some point. All these things have various conventions or other things that you can do. Going to a Toastmasters event is, in a way, gathering friends and giving speeches. And what is a convention but just gathering with more friends and giving more speeches and having more interesting topics to talk about on a specific genre that you might like. And the point that I'm getting at, my friends, is that you can go to these things and meet like minds. And if you're into cosplay, conventions are great for cosplay. Cosplay the characters you love from your show. Later today, I will be dressing up, cosplaying the movie Doctor. I love playing Peter Cushing's Doctor, as well as Grand Moff Tarkin, who is also Peter Cushing. I do them both. In fact, you can look on YouTube. I believe there's a video where I do both, but and that was at a Doctor Who convention. So the point is, I love cosplay and I love hanging out and I love talking to like minds, and you can too. You just need to find your tribe, as we've talked about in another episode, and hang out with friends. And believe me, I wish they could be here. Kat is a very, very good friend, and we had a great conversation. And I will say that Kat and I are hoping that We may do a live episode at some point, the two of us in person together, rather than through Zoom, where we're honestly just talking heads. As you can see, some of our early episodes where we have the talking heads, I will probably end up merging those into what the current format is of just taking them as a two camera video where I switch between the two. In the live episode, I think we will just do it as the two of us sitting together, but we will have, if we can do this with an audience, we will allow the audience to have a camera, and that'll be a second camera, and we'll have the two camera system like that. Probably doing it something similar to Zoom, allowing the camera to essentially switch to speaker view with the speaker view set up. And yes, we are using Zoom for this. But overall, I just want you to know that whatever you are doing, however you are, however you feel, there is someone who feels that same way somewhere. And they can be your friend. They can be your fellow convention goer. They can be someone you meet organically. I have a friend who is now part of a perfect couple. She tried dating apps. It wasn't working. But at a meetup, an LGBTQ meetup, she met someone who is perfect. And they are a great couple. And that's the thing. Yes, there's dating apps, and I've used them. Other people have used them. She's used them. Uh, they 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 don't necessarily always work, but you never know who you're going to meet at these social things, like a convention, or even a gathering like a book group, or a writing group, or whatever. Or you may get someone fancying you at from a cosplay event. I mean, you never know. And yes, that has happened to me. Someone fancied me. Unfortunately, I wasn't ready at that time, and I had to pass on it. But obviously, and that person has moved on, and I'm very happy for them as well. Uh, I'm not someone who pines for anything. I just accept the world as is, and that's something I hope you will do too. I want you all to understand that we are here for you and we're listening. And even while I'm at the convention, I will try to check my YouTube messages and make sure that if you have a concern, I will be there for you. And that is all we can do to help you, because that's what we're here for. We want you to be okay. And however you do it, however you find someone to befriend and enjoy the company of that person, however you do it, that's okay. Just be consensual. Enthusiastic consent is the only thing we'll say for a lot of things, including how you deal with people. But overall, I think it's just establishing a pattern of being friendly and being open-minded and doing things you like and enjoying yourself. That's all we could ever ask. That's all we will ever ask, is for you to essentially be the person that you feel you are. You will always be you, and you always will deserve the happiness that everyone deserves. I will say that we can't rely on others to make us happy. That is something that I think is important, and we may do an episode about that later. But happiness must come from within, and being happy is something you can choose to do. And granted, I know that if you are depressed, and we may do an episode on that, depression is difficult because you can't just snap into happy if you're depressed. You will need help. But if you have the choice, try to think a positive thought. I will say that for me today, what I did is I looked in the mirror and I told myself I'm handsome. And that's part of it. You build the confidence and you tell yourself you're handsome, go to the convention, you have fun, you meet your friends, and you have a good time. And that's all we'll say for the Green Podcast today. Hope to see you live tomorrow.